coming Sunday against who? The Las Vegas Raiders. One of the teams that repeated, I reported on this earlier this morning, they repeatedly passed on Shedeur in the 2025 draft. Now, majority owning Tom Brady, who has text words of encouragement to Sanders in the past, was part of that decision. Now, general manager Andrew Berry made the selection, and now in late November, Sanders get his chance to start.
Like he was a good, solid prospect at the most important position. We felt like it got to a point where he was probably mispriced, relative to the draft. Really the acquisition cost was pretty light, and it's a guy that we think can outproduce his draft slot. So I wouldn't say it's any more than that, Mary Kay. I think obviously Shedeur has kind of grown up in the spotlight, but our expectation is for him to come in here and work and compete. Nothing's been promised. Nothing will be given. So I may hesitate to characterize it as a blockbuster. That's not necessarily how we thought of the transaction, but we are excited to work with him.
Andrew Berry has been hiding. The Cleveland Browns general manager, the man who supposedly handpicked Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round, has been ducking the media like his job depends on it. And now that Shedeur is about to make his first NFL start against the Las Vegas Raiders, suddenly everyone's wondering, where is Andrew Berry? Because here's the thing that nobody's talking about. If Shedeur balls out this Sunday, I guarantee you we're going to hear from Andrew real quick. But if he struggles, Berry's going to stay in witness protection. And that's exactly what makes this whole situation so suspicious. Because the timing of his silence isn't just weird, it's calculated.
The positive that I saw is when you give him time, like any rookie, you give him time, he can read something out and find a completion.
I'll do that.
He ripped the end cut.
That's right.
On the 2-minute drive to try and win the game, put him actually in position to actually have a chance.
That's right.
Getting him on the edge is a big part of this offense, or at least it was in the past, of the nakeds and the boots and all those things. You saw him on the edge, throw an accurate pass.
He could do it.
He can absolutely. I mean, is he talented enough and can he do it?
I went to this at the Charlotte on the sideline. I said, hold on. And I watched this thing at least 50 times. At least 50 times. He just kept running back. So I was just there looking at it.
You operated like. So I love when you tell the facts. You know, but it's okay. It's okay.
Listen, you did a nice job. Okay.
You were the real player now. I'm gonna bring that sauce to you.
I know you. Really good job. That's a great start.
Right now, you were the real player now. I'm gonna bring that sauce to you. Listen, Robinson, you looking at it wrong too. No, too, you looking at it wrong too. Andrew Berry went uncomfortable. Shedeur was being Shedeur. Andrew Berry know they was looking. We looking at it all wrong. Andrew Berry knew they were looking. So what he do? Just like any other black man would. Hey, bro, chill out. Hey, bro, chill out.
Let me break this down for you, because there's layers to this story that the mainstream media isn't covering. Shedeur Sanders is about to make his NFL debut, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Not just for him, but for Andrew Berry, for the Browns organization, and honestly for everyone who doubted this kid from the moment his name was called on draft night. And trust me, there were a lot of doubters. The New York Times just dropped an article today, talking about this entire situation, and what they're saying is wild. They're basically confirming what insiders have been whispering for weeks. Andrew Berry has been radio silent. The man hasn't said a word to the media about Shedeur, about the quarterback situation, about anything. He's been quieter than a library at 3 a.m. And you want to know why that's significant? Because Andrew Berry allegedly made this pick. This was his guy. He's the one who saw something in Shedeur Sanders that made him pull the trigger in the 5th round when other teams passed on him multiple times. But here's where it gets juicy. The Las Vegas Raiders, the team Shedeur is about to face in his debut, they passed on him multiple times. You know who was part of that decision? Tom Brady. Yeah, that Tom Brady, the greatest quarterback of all time, looked at Shedeur Sanders and said, "Nah, we're good." Now, Tom's been texting Shedeur words of encouragement lately, which is cool and all, but you can't ignore the irony here. The man who didn't draft him is now sliding into his DMs with motivational quotes? Come on, bro.
At Big Noon, we covered him. We were there for Deion's, I think, first 3 games, and he turned around a program that was a train wreck. And you don't do that without Shedeur Sanders. I got to go behind the scenes and watch his coach or his father and coach. And, a lot of times we all get uncomfortable with maybe the flash and the posse and the watches, et cetera, et cetera. But I know what I saw. I saw a player that can get out of trouble, lead a team, has really all the skill set.
Now let's talk about what the people who actually know football are saying. Urban Meyer, coaching legend, someone who's been around the game forever, he broke his silence about Shedeur this past week. And what he said should shut down every single hater out there. Urban was at Colorado during that first season. He watched Shedeur up close. He saw what happened behind the scenes, and he didn't hold back. Urban basically said, look, I know people get uncomfortable with the flash, the jewelry, the watches, all that stuff that comes with being Deion Sanders' son. But I know what I saw. I saw a player who can get out of trouble, who can lead a team, who has all the skill sets to be successful in this league. And then he dropped this line that everyone needs to hear. He took a god-awful program and turned it around. Let that sink in for a second. Colorado was a train wreck before Shedeur got there. They were the laughingstock of college football. One win. One! And Shedeur walks in with his pops, and suddenly they're must-see TV. They're winning games they had no business winning. The entire college football landscape shifted because of what Shedeur did in Boulder. But somehow, when draft day came around, he fell to the 5th round? Make it make sense. Urban Meyer said he's a Shedeur Sanders fan. A coaching legend who's won at every level is publicly backing this kid, and people are still questioning whether he belongs? The disrespect is insane.
Urban Meyer broke his silence about Shedeur Sanders this past week, and this is what he had to say.
At Big Noon, we covered him. We were there for Deion's, I think, first 3 games, and he turned around a program that was a train wreck, and you don't do that without Shedeur Sanders. I got to go behind the scenes and watch his coach, or his father and coach. And, a lot of times we all get uncomfortable with maybe the flash and the posse and the watches, et cetera, et cetera.
But wait, there's more. Because it's not just Urban Meyer vouching for Shedeur. Former NFL quarterback David Carr jumped on his podcast recently and talked about what he's seeing from Shedeur in Cleveland. And David Carr knows a thing or two about being a young quarterback in a tough situation. The man was the first overall pick for the expansion Texans and got absolutely destroyed behind a terrible offensive line. So when David Carr speaks about rookie quarterbacks, you should listen. David said, when you give Shedeur time, he can read defenses and find completions. He talked about how Shedeur ripped an end cut on a 2-minute drill, putting the team in position to actually win a game. He mentioned the boots, the nakeds, the rollouts, all the plays that Shedeur executed with accuracy. And then David says something crucial. Is he talented enough? Can he do it? The answer is yes. Does he want to do it? Yes. That's the key right there. Shedeur has the talent and the drive. He's got Bill Musgrave coaching him up, a former NFL quarterback who knows exactly what it takes to become a successful quarterback. David Carr literally said Bill Musgrave coached him during some of his best seasons. So Shedeur's not just out there winging it. He's got a legitimate quarterback guru teaching him the position at the highest level.
Whoop, my bad, y'all.
The positive that I saw is when you give him time, like any rookie, you give him time, he can read something out and find a completion.
I'll do that.
He ripped the end cut.
That's right.
On the 2-minute drive to try and win the game, put him actually in position to actually have a chance.
That's right.
Getting him on the edge is a big part of this offense, or at least it was in the past, of the nakeds and the boots and all those things. You saw him on the edge, throw an accurate pass.
He could do it.
He can absolutely. I mean, is he talented enough and can he do it?
And here's what David Carr emphasized. Now that Shedeur is the starter, he gets all the attention, all the reps, all the study time, all those crucial side conversations about what defenses are going to do. He's not splitting reps anymore. He's not wondering if he's going to play. It's his show now. And David Carr's prediction? I think he'll be fine. But let's get back to Andrew Berry because this is where things get really interesting. The New York Times article mentioned that coaches and teammates have been watching Shedeur roam the halls with his iPad under his arm, bouncing from meeting room to meeting room, stopping for one-on-one sessions with Coach Kevin Stefanski. They're saying he's treating this like his final exam. Think about that imagery for a second. While other fifth-round picks might be chillin', taking it easy, Shedeur is studying film like his life depends on it. He's seeking out extra coaching. He's putting in work that most veterans don't even do. That's the Deion Sanders influence right there. That prime time work ethic passed down to his son. And people still want to question his dedication? Here's what kills me about this whole situation. Shedeur barely took reps earlier this season. He was the third-string guy watching from the sideline, probably wondering when his opportunity would come. But instead of pouting, instead of demanding a trade or causing drama, he kept his head down and worked. He studied. He prepared. He acted like a professional. And now that his number's been called, he's ready. But where's Andrew Berry in all of this? Where's the general manager who supposedly believed in Shedeur enough to draft him? Why hasn't he come out and publicly supported his pick? You know what I think? I think Andrew Berry is playing it safe. He's waiting to see which way the wind blows. If Shedeur dominates against the Raiders, and I believe he will, then Andrew Berry is going to magically appear with a microphone in his hand talking about, yeah, that's my guy. I knew he had it all along. I saw the potential. But if Shedeur struggles, if the Browns lose, Berry's going to stay hidden and let Kevin Stefanski take the heat.
All the learning.
Yeah.
And he's got Bill Musgrave there, who I love to death, who played quarterback in the NFL, was my coach for one of my best times and best couple seasons.
So they got the answers.
They have guys around him that can help him and teach him this stuff. And they are, and now if he's the sole focus and he's the starter,
yes,
now you get all the attention, you get all the reps, you get all the study, the tips and all the side conversations of what's going to happen and what we think.
That's not leadership, bro. That's cowardice. You don't get to claim credit for the wins if you're not willing to stand up during the uncertainty. And that's exactly what Andrew Berry is doing right now, hiding behind his desk while Shedeur prepares for the biggest moment of his young career. Let's talk about what this game means. Shedeur Sanders versus the Las Vegas Raiders, the team that passed on him, the organization that Tom Brady, the GOAT himself, said wasn't worth drafting. This isn't just another NFL game. This is personal. This is a statement game. This is Shedeur's chance to look at everyone who doubted him and say, I told you so, without saying a single word. And you know what? The pressure is enormous. Imagine being a fifth-round rookie, making your first NFL start, and you're not facing some bottom-feeder team. You're facing a franchise that specifically decided you weren't good enough for them. You're playing in front of the entire football world because everyone wants to see if Coach Prime's son can actually play at this level. You've got legends like Urban Meyer and David Carr vouching for you publicly, which means expectations are sky high. One bad game, and the haters will come out of the woodwork screaming, see, we told you he was overhyped. But here's why I'm not worried about Shedeur. And here's why you shouldn't be either. This kid has been preparing for this moment his entire life. He grew up watching his dad dominate in the NFL. He learned how to handle pressure at Colorado when the entire nation was watching every single snap. He's already faced more scrutiny and criticism than most NFL rookies will face in their entire careers. If anyone is built for this moment, it's Shedeur Sanders. The New York Times article said insiders with boots on the ground have been watching him prepare. They're seeing the work. They're seeing the dedication. They're seeing a young man who understands the assignment and is ready to execute. And when someone with David Carr's experience says he'll be fine, that carries weight. When Urban Meyer calls himself a Shedeur Sanders fan, that means something.
I don't know what the over and under is on them. I'm just telling you guys to make sure you tune into this game. Make this one of the most viewed NFL games of the 2025 season because only us, the people, can make that statement, make that happen, get them viewership numbers up there. But guys, definitely get down in the comment section. Let me know y'all thoughts about this, bro. Keep them bells on. I will be back with another one throughout the day. And until next time, man.
So what happens after this game? Let's play it out. Scenario 1, Shedeur balls out. He throws for 250-plus yards, a couple touchdowns, leads the Browns to a victory. What happens then? Andrew Berry suddenly becomes available for interviews. He'll talk about the evaluation process, about what he saw on tape that made him confident in selecting Shedeur. He'll take his victory lap and act like he never had any doubts. The media will praise him for his vision, for his ability to find value in the 5th round. And all that silence, it'll be forgotten. Scenario 2, Shedeur struggles. Maybe the offensive line doesn't protect him. Maybe the Raiders' defense gets after him. Maybe rookie mistakes happen because, guess what? He's a rookie. What happens then?
Andrew Berry stays quiet. Kevin Stefanski takes the blame for starting him too early. The media narrative becomes, well, maybe he needed more development time, and Andrew Berry gets to distance himself from the decision without ever having publicly supported it. You see how that works? Andrew Berry is positioning himself to win either way. He gets credit if Shedeur succeeds, but he avoids blame if Shedeur struggles. That's politics, not leadership, and that's exactly why his silence right now is so telling. But here's what I want you to understand. This isn't really about Andrew Berry. This is about Shedeur Sanders proving that he belongs at this level. This is about a young man who's been doubted his entire football career, not because of his ability, but because of his last name, finally getting the chance to show what he can do when given a fair opportunity. Think about everything Shedeur has already overcome. He transferred to Colorado when it was the worst Power 5 program in America. He dealt with constant criticism about being Coach Prime's son instead of being recognized for his own talents. He watched teams pass on him in the draft over and over again, not because he couldn't play, but because of narratives and preconceived notions. And through it all, he kept working, he kept believing, he kept preparing for this exact moment. That's the story that matters here. Not Andrew Berry's calculated silence, not the Raiders passing on him, not the talking heads who said he was overhyped. The story is about a kid who refused to let the doubters define him. A kid who's about to step onto that field Sunday and show the world what Urban Meyer already knows, what David Carr already knows, what anyone who's actually watched him play already knows. Shedeur Sanders is the real deal. And when he does light it up against Las Vegas, and trust me, he will, don't be surprised when Andrew Berry suddenly finds his voice. Don't be surprised when the same people who questioned the pick start talking about what a steal he was in the 5th round. Don't be surprised when the narrative completely flips. Because that's how this works in the NFL. You're only as good as your last game. But for Shedeur Sanders, this isn't just his first start. This is his introduction to everyone who's been sleeping on him. This is his chance to make a statement that echoes throughout the entire league. And this is Andrew Berry's moment of truth, even if he's too scared to admit it right now. So here's what I want to know from you guys. Do you think Andrew Berry is going to come out of hiding if Shedeur dominates? Or is he going to stay quiet and let others take the credit? And more importantly, how many touchdowns is Shedeur throwing in his debut? Drop your predictions in the comments because this is about to be one of the most watched games of the entire season. And real talk, if you believe in Shedeur like I do, make sure you're tuning in Sunday. Get those viewership numbers up. Show the NFL that we're paying attention. Show them that the next generation of quarterbacks is here, and his name is Shedeur Sanders. If you made it this far, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we're going to be covering every single moment of Shedeur's journey in the NFL. This is just the beginning, and you're not going to want to miss what happens next. Now get down in the comments and let's talk about it. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay blessed and shake those haters off.